So I tried to film this tag like 3 times already. The first time, I didn't record audio. The second time, my camera died. So you know what? I already have the books with me here. I'm just gonna show them to you. You know, technology's not working today, but it's fine. We're gonna move on with it. Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Alicia, and today I'm going to be doing the Black Book Challenge Bookish Scavenger Hunt. This tag was created by Jessie over at Bowties&books, so I will go ahead and leave their channel down below. That way you can go ahead and take a look. No one tagged me for this, and the reason that I wanted to do it is because, as you all know, I try to be very intentional with my reading, and I do try to read as diversely as I can, and that includes reading across the diaspora. I never know how to say that word, diaspora, and that includes reading across the diaspora of Black authors available. So we're just gonna dive right in. I will go ahead and list some books that I have read but that I don't own, because I am on a book buying ban. So I will go ahead and let you know which books I don't own, which you will probably see because I won't have a physical copy of them. All of the questions will be down in the description box, so without any further ado, let's get right into it. If you see me looking down at my phone, it's because I have the questions on my phone. Question number 1 is a book that has won awards or accolades. For this one, if I can find it now, for this one I chose The Nickel Boys by Colson Whitehead. I ended up reading this back in February, I believe, or late January, and this won the Pulitzer Prize. I also have the Broken Earth trilogy behind me. Right here, and I believe this has won the Nebula Award for every single book. Okay, so question number 2 is a book with a disabled or neurodivergent protagonist. For this one, I'm gonna have to go with Pet by Awaki Emezi. Our protagonist, Jam, is selectively mute. So question number 3 is author with a first name beginning with M, R, or Z. So for this one, I really wanted to challenge myself and find a book for every single letter, M, R, and Z. So for the letter R, I ended up choosing Luster by Raven Leilani. This was the very first book that I read in 2021, and it was the best way to kick off the year. It is such a good contemporary novel. It's so gritty, and it's a debut. Anyways, Luster, Raven Leilani. For the letter M, I chose The Beauty and Breaking by Michelle Harper. This is a memoir, and as you can see, it's all tabbed up. I really enjoyed this book. I ended up reading it last year. So for Z, I ended up choosing Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston. So I read this back in high school. It's been a hot minute since I've read it, so I definitely have to pick it back up and reread it sometime soon. Question number 4 is a book not set in the US or the UK. For this one, I ended up going with Homegoing by Yagasi. I actually haven't read this book. It's one of the books that I do need to get to, and this is set in Ghana, I believe. Yeah. Question number 5 is a book featuring a queer central romance. There's a couple that I can choose for this one, but I think I'm gonna have to go with The Space Between Worlds by Micaiah Johnson. And look at that, another author with the letter M. I absolutely adore The Space Between Worlds. Currently, it's the best sci-fi that I've read this entire year. I know we're only in March, but it's so good. Question number 6 is a book by a deceased author. And for this prompt, I chose 3 separate books. The first one is The Song of Solomon by Toni Morrison, If Beale Street Could Talk by James Baldwin, and Parable of the Sower by Octavia Butler. Number 7 is a book that can be classified into multiple genres. For this one, I'm gonna have to go with The Deep by River Solomon. This can be considered fantasy or speculative fiction. Question number 8 is a debut novel. For this one, I had to go with Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reid. Luster by Raven Leilani is another debut, and that one is fantastic. I haven't read Such a Fun Age yet, but it's one that I'm hoping I get to this year. Question number 9 is a book that is a sequel, and for this one I had to go with The Shadowed Sun by N.K. Jemisin. I am currently reading The Killing Mood, and it's so good. I can't wait to get into this one. Question number 10 is Afrofuturism or speculative fiction, and for this I did choose a couple of options. I have Escaping Exodus by Nikki Drayden. Also have Remote Control by Nnedi Okorafor. This is sci-fi but also speculative fiction, I believe. And I also went with this anthology that I have, Mothership: Tales from Afrofuturism and Beyond. Question number 11 is a book that has received an adaptation, and for this one, the only one that I can think of that I have is The Hate U Give by Angie Thomas. To be honest, this one was a hard one for me because I usually don't watch TV movie adaptations, or I'm usually not aware of them unless it's been super hyped. Sorry. Question number 12 is a short story collection, and for this one I had to go with Thick and Other Essays by Tressie McMillan. I haven't read this one. It's one that I'm hoping to get to very, very, very soon. Question number 13 is a book that is told in verse or a work of poetry. This one I wanted to challenge myself. I do have the Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo that is told in verse. And I also have a Yeetie by Roxane Gay, and this one is told in a series of short stories and also in poetry form. Question number 14 is a book with trans-binary or trans-non-binary character. For this prompt, I ended up choosing The Death of Vivek Oji by Awaki Emezi. I do believe the protagonist is trans, but please correct me if I'm wrong because I actually haven't gotten to this book yet. This is another book that I'm highly anticipating to read. It gives me fall vibes, so I was waiting until the fall to read it. Please do let me know down below if The Death of Vivek Oji doesn't have trans-binary or trans-non-binary characters. Number 15 is literature contemporary or nonfiction centering a fat individual. For this one, I have to go with Hunger by Roxane Gay. I don't currently have my physical copy because I did let my friend borrow it pre-COVID, and because of COVID, I haven't seen her, so she can't give it back. I do own that book, I just don't have it physically with me, but it is my favorite memoir. Question number 16 is a book about Black Lives Matter or Black liberation. So for this prompt, I ended up going with Eloquent Rage, a Black feminist discovers her superpower by Brittany Cooper. Question number 17 is a silly, kooky, shy, and or nerdy protagonist. So for this prompt, I ended up choosing Slay by Brittany Morris. This was actually a gift from my friend Charmaine. Okay, question number 18 is a work of nonfiction. For this prompt, I ended up going for 400 Souls. This is a community history of African American history between 1619 and 2019 that I'm slowly but surely making my way through. The last question is an author with a new book releasing soon. I know we already talked about The Nickel Boys by Colson Whitehead. We also do have The Institutionalist, and Colson Whitehead has another book coming out this year, I believe in September. I believe it's called Harlem. I can't speak today. I believe it's called Harlem Shuffle. All right, so that was the end of the tag. I know that I don't have the actual footage of me looking for these books, and I'm so sorry. It did take me about 17 to 18 minutes to locate these books and think about them and show them to you on camera. So what did I learn from this tag? I learned that although I do have an array of literature from Black authors, I do need to pick up and read more books by trans and gender non-binary authors, and also ones that have mental health representation in it, because that is something that I am lacking. I also realized that I don't have any romance by Black authors, and that's primarily because I don't really read romance, but it is something that I want to check out. So if you have any recommendations by Black authors that write romance, please let me know down below. If you made it this far, leave a book emoji down in the comments. If any of you want to do this tag for funsies or even to just find out what you're missing in your shelves, please go ahead and do it. I tag you. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Bye!